All right, folks, welcome to WTF Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 18 here in week 15. We're just going crazy if you're still listening to us, and hopefully that means you're still in the playoff hunt and you need to make some big decisions this week. Brian and I will definitely try and help you with that. Tony may be a little late, may not show up. We never know with Tony. He's always a little out there, so we try and figure out what happens with him when it happens. But I will bring on Mr. Brian Drake to join us. Brian, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing better than Carson Wentz. I can sit up straight and move side to side, so I'm doing okay here. I got a couple of teams still left in my big money league, so I'm ready to go here. I'm excited for week 15.
I am too. I'm doing pretty well. I still got 15 teams going in season-long leagues, so I'm pretty excited about that. I got some pretty strong teams. I lucked out in a couple of waiver wire gems the last few weeks and really helped me out with all these injuries. And we'll cover a lot of these players tonight that are definitely question marks this week. And definitely the questions I'm getting the most from most people. We'll definitely talk about them. But you know, one of the big questions has to be, what do you do with this game Thursday night? Of course, it looks like a great game. Chargers and Chiefs at Kansas City. Everybody sees Kansas City and wants to start every Charger they can. And I got to ask you, have you noticed, like I've noticed, that Kansas City is a much better defense at home than they are on the road?
Yeah, I think that's typical for a lot of kind of mediocre defenses. Everybody's better at home, and that's a really big advantage they have at Arrowhead. They're going to go against a team that's, they're going to like to throw the ball. You've got Phillip Rivers playing at a really high level. You got a plethora of wide receivers out there, and Justin Jackson, who's probably going to get the start, is going to be a nice player. They're going to feed him the rock, and without question, if I don't think Melvin Gordon's going to be available for this game, and if you can get Justin Jackson in your lineup for this game, get him in. Kansas City is the number 2 DVOA rush defense in the NFL. So I think he's going to have a big game, and he's going to help lead teams into the fantasy Super Bowl next week.
Well, here, just to give you a hint on what you just said about Kansas City, this is the list of teams that have given up top 24 games allowed to running backs. Okay? And in this list, in 13 games, Kansas City has given up 17 top 24 games allowed to opposing running backs.
Wow. Yeah, that guy should just be lock button. Put him in.
Cincinnati, and then at 15, and then 13, you got Arizona, Detroit, Rams, and then you go from there. But 17 games for the Chiefs all by themselves. Now, look, I've been saying it all week. They are definitely a better defense at home. My concern with Jackson is that he's not really a pass-catching back. He's definitely a guy, he's a run-first guy, and that's what they use him for. So my concern here is if there's any chance Kansas City gets out early, do they go away from Justin Jackson?
I don't know. I mean, if he's kind of the only guy they have and Eckler doesn't play this week, I think he's going to show up and he's going to catch a few passes. I mean, I don't think he's a total zero in the passing game. They didn't really use him much last week. I was hoping he was going to, do a lot more. But like you said, Kansas City allows the 4th most receptions to running backs. There's going to be opportunities, and that's what we're looking for in fantasy football. The question is, Jim, in a week like this, opportunity is there, but your season's on the line. Are you willing to plug in an unknown commodity like Justin Jackson or even Jalen Samuels in another game when it's all on the table? Or would you rather go with kind of a safer play, someone you've had on your bench the whole year?
Well, it depends on the guy I've had on the bench the whole year. Look, if he's been on my bench all year and I haven't discarded him, he's probably worth something. But let's put it a more finite way. How do you feel about Justin Jackson or let's say Lamar Miller this week?
Oh boy, Lamar Miller's been good. Man, oh man. Let's see. So where's Houston? Houston's playing Saturday at the Jets. So that's a game I think they're going to be in command of. And you know what? I don't know. I still think that they dick around too much and they get Alfred Blue involved. And if there's no Austin Eckler, I think Jackson is the only game in town in a shootout. I would lean Justin Jackson between those two guys.
Well, they're okay. Hold on. There is, another game in town. If both Eckler and Gordon are out, don't be surprised if we start hearing the name Detrez Newsome. Uh, a young kid that's been, I think, on their practice squad who got called up, and he's a pass catching back. He's did a lot of pass catching in college. May be involved in this game. I'm not saying by any shape and imagination that this is a guy you want to play in week 15 when you're going to try and get into that championship game. But, don't be surprised if this kid comes out of nowhere and catches 5, 6 balls in this game.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm looking at you're comparing it to Lamar Miller, and he got 14 carries last week. He only had 33 yards. He's getting a kind of saving grace because he's scoring some touchdowns. He caught 5 balls last week, but I don't know. I'm just kind of I'm on the fence with him, and I own Lamar Miller in a few leagues, and I'm going to be having this debate with myself as the week goes on before Saturday. I don't know. I still think I'm going to lean Justin Jackson there.
And I'll be honest with you, so would I. It's very hard to have any kind of faith in Miller, even though he is scoring. We have no idea if Deontay Foreman is going to be active this week, and if he does get any playing time at all. So definitely concerned with Alfred Blue also mixing up. So look, I like Jackson. I'm just a little concerned if Casey gets out early, but Chargers are a good enough defense that I'm not sure that actually happens. So I'm not as worried about it as I've been in other games against KC in the past. So this is a big game for both teams.
Let's flip it around here and talk about Damian Williams for Kansas City, because Spencer Ware's not going to play in this game. They say he's
doubtful. At this point, it would be a miracle for him to play, and then they'd have to answer to the league why he was listed as doubtful and still played.
So Damian Williams scored twice last week. He didn't do a whole lot yardage-wise, but 2 scores is 2 scores. What's your comfort level putting a guy like Damian Williams in this high-powered KC offense in your lineup?
Well, look, because it's the high-powered KC offense, I'll take the chance because the upside is there just because of the offense around him. So, it makes it a little easier to take that chance with a guy like him, knowing that this offense is going to put up points. As opposed to, taking a shot on somebody else that may not put up much points. And I'm not talking about Jackson in this sense. I'm just talking in general. Damian Williams, look, I don't think Ware's going to play.
No.
I do think they try to find some way to get Charkandrick West involved. I'm not really worried about Darren Williams. He's only had 6 touches all year. So I don't really think that comes into play. I think Williams is the guy they're going to go with. They chose him to be their number 2 when they got rid of West the first time. So I don't really think West is going to be big. I am playing Williams in a couple of leagues this week. So hey, look, I got to do what you got to do. But here, let me throw another one at you. Justin Jackson or Derrick Henry?
No, I'm not playing Derrick Henry. I refuse to. I would rather quit playing fantasy than put him in a lineup. He's going to go, 12 for 33 this week. And everyone is going to throw him in a DFS lineup or, some guy who miraculously is still in it. If you have Derrick Henry on your roster, you shouldn't be playing in championship Final Four fantasy games this weekend. You should be in the consolation bracket because Derrick Henry is...
back off. He got me 2 wins in a couple of leagues last week where I had absolutely no choice but to play him. My options were very weak after him. So it's not like I was a genius and said, oh, I think he's going to go off. It was like, oh, crap, I got to play Henry this week. And then I watched him go off, and that was fun. So I got to say I enjoyed that part of it. But I'm with you. I have choices this week, and I'm not going to play him this week.
How about
he's going against the Giants, so he should be able to run well. The Giants' rush defense has really been slacking since they got rid of Harrison, and of course now they got Landon Collins is out also. So I think he could have a good game, but man, I have no faith in him whatsoever.
How about the Jags defense last week? Just showing you the character of this whole organization. Really, they're getting their balls stomped in. Okay. And like a 4th and goal, or if they make a play when they're getting smoked by 25 and they're jumping around like they just won the Super Bowl. It was disgusting. It's like, guys, Where were you three
Yeah.
quarters ago making a play? Now you're going nuts here in the fourth quarter when the guys already scored 5 touchdowns on you. It was ridiculous.
Well, I love that when a team is getting routed, and the team that's getting routed, their defense makes one play, a sack or something late in the game, and they're
Yeah.
all jumping around, high fiving each other, chest bumping each other. Guys, you're getting your ass beat.
Yeah.
Well, what's there to bump for? It's just I see that all the time, and it just makes me laugh. I'm just like, knuckleheads, go to the bench, act like you've been there before.
So let's swing back to this Kansas City game, Jim. And there's some issue with the Chiefs wide receivers. So Tyreek Hill, unbeknownst to anyone, has kind of this heel injury that's been hampering him for a few weeks. Still massive numbers. I mean, last week, 140 yards on 14 targets. That's unbelievable. But he's battling this injury. Sammy Watkins is not going to play.
Yeah, Watkins is out. Yeah, he's
not going
to done for the season.
Chris Connolly, you can't trust him. There's no chance in the world anyone's going to play Kelvin Benjamin. This just might be a funnel game for Travis Kelce. And in a DFS environment, I think you could build a lineup around him because he is going to see a massive workload.
Yeah, but the problem with that kind of thinking is, you know what? If I'm a defensive coordinator, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And who else are you going to really bracket as a defense than Kelce at this point?
I want to see this young safety for the Chargers matched up on Kelce. I think that could be a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, but see, the problem is I think they make that matchup, and then I think they put another person on him as well. Because, let's face it, Conley isn't going to scare you. Benjamin doesn't scare you.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Kelce is it. It's going to be Kelce and whatever they can get out of the running game with Damian Williams. And that's going to be their big guys. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Look, Tyreek Hill is going to play, and I give him all the credit in the world for playing last week. And you could just tell how much he was hurting. And he's already said he's playing. So he's going to be on the field. Just, you got to wonder, damn, how close to, even 80% is he?
This has all the makings, and we see it every year, of those classic stud who got you there, totally lays an egg in the playoffs, where he goes out, aggravates that heel in the first quarter, and ends up scoring 1 point on the game. And everybody who rode him to the semifinals is now out because he screwed you. I can see it happening. I would almost bet money on it that that's going to go down.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Hey, look how many people got screwed last week with all the big names that didn't do anything. It's just the nature of the beast. And, like I say all the time on the Frenzy, it's a conspiracy. They're trying to get fantasy football owners from any way they can. And that's definitely one of them. We do have a question in the chat, so I want to ask this real quick before we get in there.
Is it about James Devlin?
No, it's not about James
okay.
Devlin.
Just checking.
Constantine has been following us for a while, and thank you, Constantine. He wants to know, should he go Josh Gordon or Tyler Boyd this week because he's not playing Sony Michel because of James Devlin, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go Josh Gordon. I think that game's going to shoot out. I think Josh Gordon ends up with Hayden on him out there, but I think he can win that matchup, and it only takes one play for him to score. I think Boyd is kind of an accumulator where you're going to need him to catch 6, 7, 8 passes to give you a good day, whereas Gordon just needs one bomb for 40 yards and scores, and then he made your whole afternoon.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, it's easy for me. I'm absolutely going Gordon. He's definitely landed in the right place playing with New England, and Brady seems to trust him and going to him a lot more of late. With Gronk on the field and healthy, it takes a little bit away from Gordon, but not enough in this matchup where I think they are going to have to throw a lot. Let's face it, Pittsburgh's run defense is pretty good. They can be beat in the air, and I expect both of these sides to put up some points in this game. So
yeah,
I definitely want a piece of that, and Gordon is a good piece for that for me.
He's got to score or 80 yards in 5 straight games.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's playing very good football right now, and again, I take Brady over Driscoll in a heartbeat. So,
oh God, yeah, that's the other thing too is you have to look in these situations. Who's the quarterback? Who's throwing the football here? You want to stake your season and your chance at getting your name on a trophy and getting a bunch of cash on Jeff Driscoll, come on. Give me Tom Brady in that situation.
Okay, we got another one from Mendo Bruce. He wants to know, this is a little tighter, DJ Moore or Dante Pettis in a .5 PPR?
I love me some Dante Pettis, man. Let's see.
They're really getting him involved in that slot. There's no doubt about it. He's been playing some good football since they moved him into the slot, and I don't see that really changing this week.
I mean, he's had 7 targets in 3+ games. You know, he scored in 3 straight games. Although last week he kind of laid an egg with only 3 catches for 49 yards.
But that's going to happen from time to time, and you know they're playing Seattle this week, and Seattle is, you know, their defense is getting better, but they can still be beat by the pass. You know, and Mullins, you know, after he played that first great game and then all of a sudden started to slide, and then the last couple of weeks have been playing a lot better again.
Is DJ Moore going to get shadowed by Marcus Lattimore? That's a concern to me.
Next question. I kind of think he will be. I think, you know, at this point you're not shadowing Funchess.
No.
You know, at that point. So I think Moore will see a lot of Lattimore. Maybe not complete shadow, but he will see a lot of him. And that definitely pushes me away from him as well. And again, you're talking about another guy who really didn't do much last week.
Yeah, 5 for 67. Here's the thing, though. New Orleans, depending on what numbers you look at, they're giving up the most yards to or the most points to wide receivers per week. So that says something. I don't know if it's necessarily number 1 receivers or whatnot. If I had to pick between the two, I think I'm going to go with Moore, just on the big play potential and the fact that I like the chance of scoring on New Orleans more than Seattle, because Seattle is just playing at a high level right now. So if it was me, if I got to pick between the two, DJ Moore's my guy.
Okay, well, just based on, you know, what I had said before, these are the defenses that have given up top 24 performances to wide receivers. New Orleans has done it 13 times. Seattle's done it 12.
Wow.
So it's not a big difference there. You know, look, Pettis is. I like the slot because Mullins definitely is liking those short passes over the middle, trying to work with that. We didn't see him get Goodwin involved on the outside at all. So yeah, it's a tough one for me.
Yeah, Pettis is at home at least.
Really
or excuse me,
really getting involved.
They're both at home, I should say.
Yes.
So that maybe takes a little shine off both those defenses.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this. That's a tough question. It really is. But
yeah, I'm going DJ Moore. I like the quarterback more, even though there's no question Cam Newton has a shoulder injury. He's hurt.
He's hurting. He is definitely hurting.
So I'm going to take him. He's the number 1. He's got, I don't want to say he's the pedigree because he's, you know, Dante Pettis was a high 2nd round pick also. But for me, it's Moore. I just think he's got a good chance of putting up that 100-something yard game, whereas Pettis, you know, might get you 40, 50 yards. He could score because that's what he's been doing, but I don't know if he's going to blow up with the yardage. And it's only half-point PPR, so you're going to need some of those yards.
Yeah, I really love to make it unanimous, but I actually do like Pettis a little bit more. I'm not quite sure. It's just a gut feeling in this one against Seattle. It could definitely come back to bite me, no doubt.
Hey, look what the cat dragged in.
Hey,
you know,
how you doing?
I don't know how long we've been doing shit, right? That Brian has that Philadelphia Super Bowl logo on his avatar. Brian, like people in Boston, we win multiple championships before we get excited. Like
you're not in Boston anymore. You're in Florida now.
Yeah, but Jim, you know, if you're born a white person, white for us, you're, you know, a rapper.
Well, we were talking about, okay, we'll let you be a tiebreaker. Who do you like better this week, DJ Moore or Dante Pettis in a .5 PPR league?
Yeah, I like DJ Moore, and I'll tell you what, because I just think they're gonna throw the ball a ton, and he makes the big plays. And Jim, it's one of those personal things, and you should never let your biases get in your way. Anytime I've ever played Pettis in any daily lineup, he absolutely bombs. I've done it 3 times, and he put up 3 of the worst games.
So it sounds like you have a bias against Pettis.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we were talking before about the Kansas City game and against the Chargers, tomorrow night, and you know, Mendel Bruce brings up a great point in the chat room. Kelsey has been shut down by the Chargers the last 4 times they've played each other, and with Tyreek Hill being banged up and Spencer Ware probably not going to play, it's interesting to see what this offense is going to do. Do you think there's any chance in hell that Kelvin Benjamin is fantasy relevant in Week 15?
No, zero. I think zero chances. I kind of wonder, like in that Kansas City offense, it looks complex, right? We've seen how the Bears have changed the way their team is. How the hell is Calvin Benjamin going to learn that offense?
Well, he doesn't have to learn the whole offense. That's the whole thing. He just they set aside a group of plays for him that they use, and then they use him in the end zone as a big body guy that can go up and get the ball.
Yeah,
I don't
I
see
don't see
it.
them using him. He's not some transcendent talent that you're going to make a
No,
package of plays
he's
for.
not a transcendent talent, but he's a big body that can catch the ball in the end zone that they really don't have right now.
We got people in playoffs and we've got daily, right? Fantasy. And you're looking at it though, Mahomes is going to throw the ball 35 plus times. So I think you're going to look for the Kansas City Chiefs to try to find one of those guys. And I'll tell you the truth, I'd feel much better about going with Chris Conley.
Yeah, I have a problem with Conley. I don't know why. I just you talk about a guy that every time I think he's going to do something, he doesn't do it. That seems to be Chris Conley for me. Just never really got it done. Okay, well let's keep moving. A lot of good games coming up, but a lot of people to discuss. Um, we know Eckler's out, so that Gordon is traveling, but all intents and purposes, everything sounds like it'd be a real miracle if he plays tomorrow. So, what's your thoughts, Tony, real quick, and then we'll move on to other games. What's your thoughts on Justin Jackson? Would you feel comfortable starting him in Week 15?
Absolutely. I think it's one of those situations when you talk about running backs, right? And every league has at least 2 running backs. So that gives me to 24, and then half of them in the flex. So we're at 30, we'll say, right? I would say the defense, he's going to be a top 15 back in people's rankings.
Top 15 is a little high for me. I get the point, but man, I don't know. That's a little high for me.
The game's going to be about 55 points. I would think there's a shot that he gets in the end zone.
Oh, I think there's definitely a shot he gets in the end zone. Now, no doubt about it. The over-under right now is 52.5. KC favored by 3.5. So they're definitely expecting points. Not as big as the craziness with KC and the Rams, but it should definitely be a little bit more defensive than that. But they are expecting points. It's going to be interesting. We'll get back to these games, but I do want to answer the questions in the chat room since they are still with us in Week 15. Mendo Bruce wants to know. He says Gus Williams, but I'm pretty. Either he means Gus Edwards or he means Damian Williams. But I'm going to go with Gus Edwards or Kenneth Dixon in a PPR league. Kenneth Dixon. I got to say this. I still think he's behind Edwards, but he looked like he was shot out of a cannon last week. He was running with fire. He definitely looked like he had something to prove. And this team used to really like Dixon. What's your thoughts here? You think Dixon cuts into Edwards's production this week? Either one. Go. Somebody. Anybody.
Absolutely. If you're in a PPR setup, I think, and I've been saying this for weeks, Gus Edwards is kind of useless. And you can, if you look at how he's finishing, I mean, he's not even finishing as a top 24 back most weeks. I think Mike Clay had a stat about this where he finished, I think last week he's outside the top 40. So if you've got a guy in Kenneth Dixon who's seeing more snaps and he's catching the ball out of the backfield, and they might even be bringing packages for Joe Flacco back in now, he's got the pedigree. He's a good player when he's on the field. So I don't know if I want to trust either one of these guys, but if I'm going to go between the two, I think Dixon's arrow's pointing up.
Okay, what about
I think you hit it on the head. I don't trust either one of these guys. I would feel better about Dixon if we had Joe Flacco there, because everybody thinks Lamar Jackson comes in, oh, he's not a good passer, he'll just dump the ball off. That takes a while. That takes a lot of practice to be able to have that kind of precision in the passing game. So I think it was a one-shot wonder, and it's not that I don't like a player that you can catch. I just don't like the Baltimore offense consistency-wise with Lamar Jackson at the helm.
And they're going to be playing Tampa Bay, so you know they're going to be throwing the ball too, because Tampa can put some points up. They're going to not be, totally stymied by this Ravens defense. And Dixon outgained Edwards 80-67 in total yardage last week, so it's not like he's, it's a hope and a prayer.
You want the guy catching the ball, and that's not Edwards. I agree. I would go Dixon over, Gus easily. So definitely not a concern there. John wants to know, is he crazy for playing Dixon over Sony Michel in a flex spot? He didn't say whether it was PPR, so I'm going to assume it's PPR. Would you play Dixon over Sony Michel, Tony?
Yes, I would. I don't think there's a big upside with Michel. And I like what Michel is doing. Pittsburgh's good against the run. Yeah, I would take a shot. I don't like the move.
I think if we look back at what's going on here in New England, and we've got James Devlin scoring 3 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. If those are Sony Michel touchdowns, and he was on the field for all of those touchdowns, we're talking about Sony Michel's blowing up and carrying teams to championships. So it's just a matter of, do we see them get cute again and give a freaking fullback scores at the one? If it's me, I'm going to go with Sony Michel.
It's a conspiracy. It is. I'm telling you, you guys disagree with me, but it's a conspiracy. Look at all these no-name guys. All of a sudden, we even had Bolden come out of nowhere and score 2 touchdowns.
Oh, that was amazing.
Oh, come on, are you kidding me?
I love when defensive guys score, tackle-eligible guys score. It just
I like offensive tackle scoring. Hey, look, I always wanted to be that guy. They never gave me a chance. Although I had great hands, I could have caught the ball. But yeah, no, look, it's just crazy. I can't trust Bill Belichick in Week 15. Look, as much as I said is, Sony Michel could easily go out there, score you 2 touchdowns this week, and give you a great game. He could. There's no doubt in this offense that he could do that. But with all the games Belichick is playing, I just can't count on him. So I'm going to steer away. If he doesn't, that's fine. He's going to do it on my bench. And I'll be okay with that, just because I wouldn't like the other way it goes either. Miley Roberts got a question. Need 2 in a standard league. Fournette, Josh Adams, Justin Jackson, and Sony Michel. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm throwing Josh Adams out.
Yeah.
I know Clement went on IR, but you still have what's the old guy's name?
Sproles.
Sproles, who's been playing lately as well. And Adams there with Foles behind center. I'm not sure I really like that. Pretty sure they're going to stack that box against him. For me, I think this is pretty easy. I go Fournette and Jackson. What say you guys?
I agree.
I third.
Yeah, it seemed pretty simple to me. I mean, the only one that could mess that up is Michel, but we just talked about him. I got no faith in him. We got one more. Kevin Moore, he wants to know T.Y. Hilton or Edelman this week. I like both, but I think I got to give the edge to T.Y. Hilton just because I think he has more upside in this game.
No team in the league gives up, I believe, it's more points to the slot receiver than do the Steelers. And Edelman had a good game this past week. If, like we said, Joe Hayden's locking down Josh Gordon on the outside, Gronk looks like he's 1,000 years old. I think Edelman can have a really nice week in a game that's going to be up and down the field. I could see this as one of those weeks Edelman catches 14 passes.
Wow, really? Well, you're really high on Edelman.
I hope so. I got him in the finals of a big dynasty league this week, so I'm trying to pump myself up into thinking I'm going to win.
I like both of them. a lot, and I would go with T.Y. Hilton. I can't believe that this is the option the guy has. This is a great option.
Yeah,
I'd want to play both of them, Kevin. Tell us in the chat who you're starting over either one of these guys, because for me, both of these guys should be in your lineup.
I agree.
Try and let us know in the chat room who you're starting over them. Let's get that going.
You got to add more teams to your league or add a flex or something.
Yeah, really. Well, you never know. There's a lot of craziness went on this year. So
Edelman had a suspension, so maybe people pick him in the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah.
well, that plus you had there was a time there where people were dropping Ty and when Luck in the very beginning wasn't throwing down the field and Ty wasn't getting involved. There were people who dropped him, so other people got lucky enough to pick him up. You just never know. You can't go by the draft anymore. Um, thoughts? Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a question about this because so I'm a commissioner of a league and we have our rule changes coming up here. And I want to get your opinion on this. We are looking at dropping the kicker and possibly the defense also.
Yes.
But what's your thought on dropping the kicker and
Totally.
adding another flex?
Absolutely 100% 4. I am so tired of kickers. They can't even kick extra points anymore. They got to go. They just got to go.
I'm for both moves, and I say you have 3 flexes. I like the 3 flexes. It brings more decision making, I think, into putting your lineups every week. Because most leagues I play in, you know who your starters are, your bench, you just throw them in. If you have 3 flexes there, and I actually hate the defenses, and here's the reason why. Why, with the defense, are we using a whole team and not the quarterback position? So when Ben Roethlisberger gets hurt in the second quarter of a game, I get screwed and don't get quarterback points the rest of the way. But we do it with the defense. I just think it's fundamentally wrong. So take it out.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. And anybody out there with a league, you've got to add more flex spots. And if you're not playing with minimally 3 wide receivers, you're doing it wrong. I go crazy when I see people in these leagues asking questions and they have 2 wide receivers that they start. Like, there's a billion wide receivers. It's a pass happy league. You have to be starting 3. That should be the default roster setup.
Yeah, but see,
you know who else?
The thing is, if you're only starting 2, it actually makes it much harder decision every single week because there are so many good wide receivers.
Yeah, can I tell you, people, there's a lot of soft people in the world out there, and all you participation trophy people, I'm talking to you right now. When you take out the tight end and you add it like receivers or tight ends, that's the worst league of all time. Because on draft day, you have to decide whether you want to pick Zach Ertz or Travis Kelce or Gronk there, right? And pick an early pick on a tight end or Jimmy Graham back in the day. Or you're just going to wait and get the, one of the tight ends, 4 through 12 that are all there. So on draft day, you have a decision make. When you put the tight ends and wide receivers, you take away the decision making. All you people out there that do that, you're a poor Americans, and I want you to get the hell out of my country.
What do you think about these leagues with 1.5 for reception for tight ends?
I'm okay with that. It's different. It's different. I like it a little different.
Too much more credit to tight ends for that 1.5 when it really doesn't really come into play, except for the top tight ends anyway. I
agree, Jim.
Don't catch more than 4 or 5 balls a game, so you're only looking at another 2.5 points with that extra 0.5. But yet everybody goes out and drafts them super early. To me, that's just ridiculous. If you don't get one of those top tight ends anyway, the rest of it's garbage. Especially this year, you'd be by that rule.
Back in the heyday, I drafted Jimmy Graham number 1 of those FFFPC leagues, and I think he played like 9 games.
Well, that's injuries. You can't do anything about injury, but yeah, no, I think people just overdraft him when you get 1.5 for tight ends, and I actually use that to my advantage because I'll load up at the other positions and take whatever tight ends I can get at the end. We do have another question here, defensive question though. Larry wants to know Bills defense versus Detroit or the Broncos versus Cleveland. Now, I got to say this. I mean, Cleveland's offense is playing pretty good football right now. I know Mayfield had the 3 interceptions the week before, and that's fine. But, man, I got to play the Bills defense against Detroit. Bills are playing great defense, and Detroit is not playing good offense. I expect Galladay to be all over Tre'Davious White this week, which is going to hurt him a ton. Stafford's not playing well. It's not like this running game is really going without Kerryon Johnson back in there. I think I got to play Buffalo out of this. How about you guys?
Yeah, the weather in Buffalo is not going to be great. It's going to be cold. Maybe this is why Matt Patricia's been having the Lions practice outside all the time, just to get ready for this one meaningless Week 15 game. But yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo also.
I like Baker Mayfield likes to throw it around, and we all talk about defenses. It's not the best defense, not the best matchup. He's throwing the ball, Jim, as you said. Their offense is playing well, but he's throwing the ball close to 40 times each time. I take a shot that he throws a couple interceptions.
You don't think Matt Stafford could throw a couple of interceptions?
He's not throwing the ball as much though as Baker Mayfield.
True, but he also doesn't have. Well, yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah.
I don't know if I go away from Buffalo. They're just playing so damn strong right now.
They're definitely the better defense.
Yeah, I think they're going to put a hurting on Detroit this week. I've just been doing that. Let's see. Oh, Kevin came back to us. He's playing Devontae Adams over Ty or Edelman,
That's
whichever one
good.
of those two he sits.
It's a
Yeah,
good
I don't
choice.
like Adams' matchup this week, but I mean it's hard. You can't sit Adams.
That's a guy that needs to add a position. They need to add a third wide receiver in this guy's league.
But that's what I say about when you only have two. It does make it harder, to make those decisions on a week-to-week basis. There's no doubt about it. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. John again wants to know: would we play Curtis Samuel over Mark Ingram in a flex PPR league?
No.
Yeah, I don't. I couldn't do that. That the hashtag analysis right there from us, but no, I can't do it. The threat of scoring for Mark Ingram is just so much greater. He's a talented guy. He's a focal point of their offense, and Curtis Samuel is kind of a shot play guy for Carolina with a quarterback with a bad shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about
Curtis Samuel in a PPR hasn't scored less than 12 points in the last month.
He's been good. I know. I've played him a few times, but between the two, you got to take what's more likely to happen. More likely to happen, I think, is Mark Ingram falling into the end zone.
Here's the thing. I look at this game, the Saints, the Panthers game, right? You look at the Panthers secondary as the one that people are going to attack, right? But it's still going to set up a lot of scoring in that game. And I think the Saints score 30-plus points. If you're going to tell me which guy has a better chance of getting 20 points, it's Mark Ingram.
Yeah, but he also has a better chance of getting 8.
You know what? If I got a guy
in 2 out of the last 4 weeks, he scored 8.6 in week 12 against the Falcons, which is a terrible defense, and then he scored 4.8 against the Cowboys. And then last week, the Bucks, he scored 12.3. He got the touchdown, but he 13 carries for 52 yards against Tampa Bay's defense.
Well, 13 for 52. I mean, that's 4 yards a carry.
But he only got
point PPR. Carries. That's almost 12 points right there.
But he only got those amount of carries against that defense. You would expect more. I don't know. Ingram is
the last couple of games
has been pissing me off, so that's why I hesitate.
The last couple of games, the Saint offense hasn't been up to par, and I think that they're too good. They got to rebound.
And this is one of those things I'd go back and forth. But I think playing Samuels over Ingram would be one of those decisions of getting to be too cute. And I'd probably go Ingram as well. So, yeah, I guess we're all unanimous. I'd have to go Ingram, too. Just the upside is much higher with Ingram. But the floor right now seems to be lower as well. So it's going to be an interesting play. Good luck with it, whichever way you go. Okay, Kevin Moore, he's got one. He needs what the hell? He wants to set his whole lineup here. 1 running back, 2 wide receiver, and 1 flex. He's got CMC, absolutely.
Yep.
Fournette, absolutely. Devontae Adams, absolutely. And then, the T.Y. and Edelman, what we were talking about. So these guys really like Edelman. I think I like T.Y. a little bit more. But that's just me. All the other guys are dead starts. You're dead right, Kevin. So don't worry about it.
I think Dallas, though, that defense is good. Their corners are outstanding.
Yep.
Not to say that Hilton can't get off there, but Dallas has shown that they're a legit defense. It pains me to say this, but they're a very, very good team.
Well, this is the thing with Dallas. They're number 2 on the year against opposing wide receivers in PPR points allowed. Over the last 5 weeks, they're number 10. So they've slid a little bit. They've faced, in that 5-game span, they faced Philly twice, Atlanta, Washington, and New Orleans. So I mean, they played New Orleans tight, but they did backslide against Philly twice, Atlanta, and Washington. So I think Andrew Luck at home, I think is going to be able to find T.Y. Hilton for a couple of big plays at least. But again, you two said Edelman. We'll tell them Edelman. I like Ty just a little bit more. Um, so let's get
I
into.
got I got a
Go ahead.
I got a crazy question for Andrew Luck first. Um, his dad is the head of the XFL, which is starting next year. Oliver Luck, which is the WWE, is starting. Do you think Andrew has to go play for his dad's league and will leave the NFL?
No, I don't really envision that happening. Yeah, no, I can't see that happening. I did not know that his dad was running that league though. That's interesting. um, so one of the guys in the chat, Black Austie, he'd been playing fantasy on Yahoo, and he's trying to figure out where else to play. And I'm going to tell you this, Black. I like myfantasyleague.com. Um, just I don't like it. The only thing I don't like about myfantasyleague.com is their live draft room. They haven't updated it in a few years. It's very clunky. It's hard to do a live draft. If you don't need to do a live draft, though, they are one of the better league sites on the planet, I feel, because they have such a ton of customization. Everything from how the league page looks, you can add all your own graphics, all that kind of stuff. But just the amount of functionality you have as a commissioner and what you can change and the scoring you can come up with. Heck, if you've seen some of my leagues over the year that I've run on my fantasy league, you'd be amazed. I used to do a league called Utter Chaos, which was literally that, utter chaos. The scoring was such that a defensive tackle would score as much as the highest scoring running back in the league. So, there's so much you can do with those leagues that you just can't do with the Yahoo or ESPN or CBS or any of those other sites that I really like a lot. Is there any sites you guys prefer?
I hate my fantasy league.
Well, that's
I'm
fine.
using.
I know a lot of people do. I get it.
I hate the app. I hate the website. It's just
Yeah, I
it's
can't.
antiquated, and ESPN's fine. At Yahoo, I use a lot. Here's the problem is these sites, maybe it's bandwidth or whatever, they can't come up with it, but they haven't figured out that the key to fantasy football is league interaction. Okay. And usually people want to be able to post like smack talk videos to their friends, and they want to do live chats and talk shit to their buddies. Imagine if you could have almost a Google Hangout with your fantasy league where you guys could all be on there at the same time, even watching the games, kind of, FaceTiming with each other. That would be tremendous. But now it's all just, let me write a little message board post. Nobody in my league leaves message board posts anymore. It's a dead art. Nobody cares. And it's all text messages now. So people are just going away from the platform and talking their smack somewhere else. So these sites have to find a way to get you back on board and interacting with that interface.
Yeah, I think it's all about the complexity of your leagues. I think Jim's right. If you do anything outside the norm, you have to go to myfantasyleague.com. Now, if you're simplistic and you have a league that, your friends or relatives play at work, I have a hard time believing you're watching a podcast at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday night and you're in a simplistic league. But if you are, the one site that never gets talked about that I absolutely love and I only use during the playoffs is NFL.com. This fantasy is great, and I use it only during the playoffs. I've never, ever played in a league on NFL.com for a whole season.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Don't you think they do such a piss poor job of promoting that too? Like all of their preseason content, and I mean, they have a channel. They could literally just beat you over the head with it every single day. And they should just make it a thing of like, host your league here. That's what ESPN does. They do that horrible fantasy marathon for a day or two on the channel in August. But the whole point of it is just, it's a sales tool to get you to download the app and draft a team in their leagues. And NFL should be doing that. I mean, they're missing out on major sponsorship bucks. Be like, look at all the clicks we could get.
You know why I will never play on an NFL.com league? Because they have an easy button. They will set your lineup for you so you don't have to. What the hell are you doing playing this for if you're going to use the damn easy button? Give me a break.
That's a real thing.
I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
something.
it is. It's a real thing.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to break news here. And it's sad, and I agree with Jim. That's coming to daily fantasy as well.
That's coming to daily. Well, hey, look, it's pretty much is with all these sites now that have lineup optimizers. That you just push the button, it gives you who they like, and you can even upload it right into FanDuel and DraftKings. So it's pretty much there. Most of these guys that
it's pretty much there.
They put it in 200 leagues in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so it's there for the advanced player, but you're going to be able to go, and the optimizer is going to be right there on FanDuel and DraftKings. You're going to pick your one or two players, and they're going to make a lineup for you.
That's no fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
Really, why the hell are you playing if you want somebody else to pick your lineup for you? I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been playing with the lineup optimizer at Daily Roto all year. But the thing I like about it is that you can go in and make changes to what you think, based on their projections. You can change those up. You can change how often you want a particular player in your lineup. There's so many things you can set up stacks easily enough. There's so many things you can do with it to make it your own instead of just taking who they tell you to take. So I like that aspect of it. But man, I couldn't play in a league where, here, push this button and we'll set your lineup for you. Get the hell away from me. I know more about this crap than you do. Go away.
The beauty of it is it's still football. The games are decided on the field, and you could have every optimizer you want. It's like trying to guess the lottery numbers that night. You're never going to hit it. So let's be honest. A lot of daily fantasy is luck. You need some real luck to hit these in a big tournament. You do.
Big tournament is a lot of lottery ticket. Of course,
that's all it is.
No doubt about it. So, I mean, most of these guys that win these Billy makers, they're playing with the bottom line, quarterback, and this guy who just happened to go off that week. But they do it because they have 200-300 lineups in these damn things.
Yeah, nobody with a single bullet's winning those tournaments.
It has happened. It happens.
Sure it has, but it's rare.
Very rare.
It's rare, but it happened when we did it when we were last year. 2 years ago when we were on Sirius in the mornings, it happened 3 times out of the season. And, one guy got drunk and he was a Patriots fan. And he put 4 Patriots in his lineup and they won.
But that's what I mean. It's not really a thing of skill at that point.
What do you think, Tony, with these? There's always debate now about how high the rake is for these sites. And people are always complaining about FanDuel and DraftKings, and they're taking 30% of some entries and all this. And I think Yahoo now is trying to combat that and say, hey, listen, we're running tournaments with almost no rake. Like, come over here for $25 and we'll have these big tournaments. And somebody can undercut them who's got some clout behind them and make themselves the new game in town.
The fantasy draft is one that has no rake on head-to-head games. The problem is those prize pool. The average player does not care about the rake. Mm-hmm. All they care about is the $1 million first prize. All they care about is the $20,000 first prize, the $10,000 first prize, because they only have 1 or 2 lineups. They don't care about the rake. You know who cares about the rake? All those people that are putting 300 lineups and 400 lineups. They're the ones getting killed, and F them.
Winners pay the rake. That's the funny thing. It's not everybody pays it. You think, I'm putting money in, blah, blah. No, the winner pays the tax in daily fantasy.
Absolutely. But, look, it is what it is. And, this is my first year really playing daily fantasy for any real consistency anyway. When it first came out, it was funny. When it first came out, I was sure that my season-long knowledge would carry me at DFS. It didn't take me really very long to learn that wasn't the case at all. It's definitely a different game on who you like and how you like them. And like Tony had said, way back a while ago on one of the shows, the guys that win a lot of daily fantasy, those are the guys that aren't looking at the names on the jersey. They're just looking at the numbers.
That's tough.
Okay, well, we got a question in here from Sean Willis, longtime listener, always chats with me on Twitter. In a PPR, he needs 1 wide receiver, 2 running backs and a flex out of wow. Just got a big echo there for a second. Wide receiver. Okay, let's do the wide receivers first. He needs one wide receiver first. Hill, Edelman, or Diggs. Which one of you guys do you like in any of those three? I know you like Edelman. Do you like Diggs or Hill better than Edelman?
I like a healthy Tyreek Hill. Not knowing how that's going to go, I would go Edelman. I'd probably go Hill if he plays, and then Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. We're here to play to win. You know, if he's in the lineup, you want Tyreek Hill because that's the guy that's going to win you a week.
And he played really well on that injured foot last week and didn't see, it slowed him down, but not when he was on the field, just when the play was over. I love players that do that, go out there and play hurt. I do. I'm going to go with you. If Hill plays, which I think he was, I'm going to play Hill out of those guys first. That's the one wide receiver. 2 running backs out of Lindsey, Chubb, Cook, and Ware. Now, Ware's out. Oh, he said, okay, later on he said not Ware. He meant Ingram. When you got Lindsey, Chubb, and Cook, Ingram's not in that conversation for me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just Lindsey and Chubb.
Cook has been scoring a lot of points lately.
That line's so bad, and you have a new offensive coordinator that I can't risk my fantasy championship on that.
What say you, Tony?
I hate to keep going back to the midget, but Lindsey just keeps continuing to get the ball.
Yeah, Lindsey's definitely number one of those for me anyway.
I like the Cleveland offense. I would go Lindsey and Chubb.
I've been loving Cook all year, and he's been kicking my ass. But he has been scoring lately. It hasn't been under 16.6 fantasy points in a PPR in the last 3 weeks. Going against the Dolphins.
That was a lucky touchdown he had at the end of the last game, though. I mean, that was.
Who cares? I don't care if it was a lucky touchdown or not. He scored a touchdown. We can say that about a million guys. Look at Drake last week. That was a lucky touchdown.
I'll take it. I had him in a lineup. Hey, what do you guys think? Lindsey and Chubb, are they first-round picks next year?
Ooh, I think they're going to be close. Look, you got to go Gurley. You got to go Barkley. You got to go CMC. You got to go Zeke. Probably going to be top 4. Kamara's going to be right there. You got Bell coming back wherever he's going to be. He's probably going to be in that mix. And then you got to get some of the wide receivers in there. Michael Thomas, maybe Adam Thielen in there. Beckham, maybe Hopkins. So I don't know. It's going to be tight, but at the very least, both of those guys should be second-round picks.
I wouldn't draft Lindsey in the second round. We just seen it time and time again. These guys come out of nowhere and put together monster seasons. And then with his size, to take it through 32 games, I think is asking a lot. I would just pass on him.
Man, you know what? He hasn't been dinged up, hasn't missed much time at all. I don't know if I'm really worried about that. We've seen other small guys do well in this league.
But who's done it lately?
Ahmad Bradshaw was a small guy. He did well.
I don't think he's that. Is he as small as Lindsey, though? Lindsey reminds me of the Morrises.
Bradshaw was a tiny guy. I'm pretty sure Bradshaw was like 5'9", 5'10", maybe. Something like that. He wasn't any much taller than that, and he wasn't built like a brick house either. He was just, some of these small guys, they just find holes that bigger guys can't find because defenders can't find them behind the O-line. So I think that plays into Lindsey's hands. I mean, this kid has been playing great all season. I don't know. It'd be hard pressed to pass on him. But hey, look, the one thing I keep saying is no matter what, whoever we deign is the top 12 next year, 5 of them are going to suck.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. 5 of them are going to suck. We can have a clear consensus on who the top 12 are, but 5 of them are going to end up sucking, whether it be for injury or for whatever reason.
There's a guy pumping gas right now in Lincoln, Nebraska, probably, who we're going to be talking about next playoff season. It's like, this guy's amazing. He came out of nowhere.
Okay, so I think we agree on Lindsey and Chubb. I'll agree to that. I do like Cook, but Lindsey and Chubb are right now hard to sit no matter what. So that's it.
Ahmad Bradshaw, 5'10", 215.
Yeah,
Philip
5'10".
Lindsay, 5'8", 190.
That's not a huge difference.
25 pounds will get you,
It's like a
at the
finger for me.
at the grocery market, depending on how much that is a pound, that could be
Okay,
expensive.
so we agree on Lindsay and Chubb. Let's say that we agreed.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Hill. Well, you wanted Edelman, but then the flex comes into play. You want Edelman, Diggs, or Cook or Gronk in the flex.
I would have whatever wide
Go
receiver you don't take between Edelman and Hill.
Yep.
Whichever wide receiver.
And that's what I was just. I like Cook too, but I think I'd go Edelman over Cook. Just don't know what the change in Minnesota is actually going to do. They could get this, offense some life, but so hard to trust in Week 15. So I agree with you there. Let's see what else we got in here. See if we got any more questions in here. Sean is telling us Lindsay and Chubb will be his keepers in that league in rounds 11 and 12 next year. Now that's a score.
God bless you.
That is definitely a score. Good looking out there, Sean. You're going to like that one.
That's a league right there where if somebody will keep Mahomes, but it's you take Mahomes in the first round next year in that league. So the hell with it. And also you just draft receiver.
Well, I don't know if I'd go Mahomes in the first round, but okay, I get your point.
Yeah, if you're keeping those guys, why the hell not?
Then Mahomes. Just because I can't take a quarterback.
This is the problem. This is the problem with keeper leagues. There, if I see a guy protecting Lindsay and Chubb in the 11th and 12th round, I'm never taking a team in that league if someone drops out.
It's tough because now, I mean, that guy
you can't
literally
blame the guy who's got Lindsay and Chubb.
He's stacked.
No, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying. I'm saying keeper leagues. For the new people that are getting into it, it's not always fair, and people get pissed off, and that's why I don't think in 4 or 5 years usually.
Yeah, see, sometimes those are the teams I like to take over. The teams that need that are a challenge, the teams that you have to rebuild, things like that. I like those kind of teams. I'll go out there and I'll make a ton of trades and try and make my team better. To me, that's a lot of fun of it. So, I mean, that doesn't bother me as much as others, unless there's a lot of money online. Then that would be a different story. But if not, I like those kinds of teams.
In a redraft keeper league where you get to keep 1 or 2 guys, though, it's not like there's any great skill in saying, "Hey, I have Lindsay and Chubb." You probably picked both up as free agents. You didn't draft either guy, so I mean, whatever. Hey, you got lucky. You got 2 nice players for next year.
Yeah, no doubt. And, if he did draft him, like I drafted Chubb in a couple of leagues, but only because I had Hyde already and I wanted his backup, and it worked out for me. But I had Hyde in a lot of leagues, which ended up screwing me once they made the damn trade, which made no sense whatsoever, except to Cleveland because they knew what they had in Chubb.
Let me ask you guys, because we were talking about in our emails before the show, what do you think of this Deshaun Hamilton kid in Denver? 9 targets this week, went 6 for 47 and a touchdown. They got another guy, Tim Patrick, on the outside, who got 95% of the snaps, 10 targets, 7 for 85. I know Keenum loves throwing to the slot receiver. He did it all last year with Adam Thielen. In a daily environment, I know Hamilton's not that expensive. Would you trust, put DFS aside, would you trust Deshaun Hamilton this week as a flex or wide receiver 3 in a semifinal matchup?
And that's definitely a great question because I did. I was on him last week. I actually had him in a couple of my DFS lineups just because I thought he would take advantage of being in the slot. Look, that's where Sanders was. That's where he was doing his damage. I expected that role to continue. And, everybody else was on Sutton who, look, I think Deshaun Hamilton is a better wide receiver than Sutton is. Sutton has big playability, but that's it. He's not a well-rounded wide receiver. And for him to go up against number 1 defensive backs, things like that, I didn't think he stood a chance. I still don't think he stands a chance. He's not a number 1 wide receiver. So I like Hamilton in the slot, but trusting him in week 15, I mean, it would really, really depend on what else I have or who else I have that I could use. Just because it's so hard off a 1 week guy. Tim Patrick even didn't score, but he was definitely on the field, like you said, more often. Had more targets. Played a great game as well. I think I'd take him. I think at this point I'd take both of them over Sutton, but it would really depend on who I had.
Great, and I thought Patrick looked really good actually in that game, but I would have a hard time trusting going back to that. But in a daily fantasy, I would take a shot on either one of them.
To me, Cortland Sutton is Kenny Galladay. They're the same guy. They can't beat elite coverage. They're big freak athletes who make nice contested catches, but I think they're better served as twos in lineups that they need someone to take the attention off them.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. 100%. I like Galladay a lot, but you're right. He hasn't shown he can break away from the number one, defensive backs that are covering him. And without anybody else really to take that away from him, I mean, Bruce Ellington doesn't scare any defenses, so you're not really going to put any effort towards him. You're going to throw everything at Galladay, and that's what we're seeing now. And Galladay has two really tough matchups in the next 2 weeks. I can't even put him in a lineup even if I wanted to. Oh, and Black Osti wants to know, Brian, do you have birds?
Do I have birds?
Yeah,
I do not.
Oh, because he thinks your Christmas tree looks like it has bird crap all over it.
Oh yeah, this is my beautiful Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles tree, and let me show this to the fans out there. This is the coolest Christmas present that a wife could get somebody. Is my little fantasy football champion ornament with a little guy holding the computer with the draft board and all that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
When I won my big money friend league, so. That holds a special place in my heart. But yeah, this is one of the 3 trees my wife has in our house.
Oh, nice. Hey, I love Christmas.
The only thing that would be worse than getting that ornament right there, and just because they make the guy look geeky and everything, right? The fantasy football guy would be to get an ornament of Jared from Subway to put on your tree.
Hey-o.
Oh man. I just think if you want to make it fair, you should make cookies that look like Jared. This way kids can eat him.
Oh, it's getting out of control here.
I'm glad I didn't say that.
Good Lord.
My wife is throwing stuff at me. Oh, craziness. Okay, well, real quick, what's your thoughts on, these Saturday games? Anything people got to be worried about? Oh, even better. Do either one of you think Connor has any chance of playing? Because I'm getting a lot of questions. People want, should I wait for Connor? Or should I play Justin Jackson? Should I wait for Connor?
That's a good question.
I'm going to say no. Everything I read tells me Connor's not going to play, although they still haven't ruled him out. What do you guys think it's worth waiting for Connor for Sunday and holding off somebody from the Thursday or Saturday games to get to him?
Only if you have Jalen Samuels. That's it.
Or
otherwise,
I totally agree.
Some other guy you can use in a flex on Sunday.
Yeah, Connor's not playing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I keep coming back to. I don't think Connor's playing either. Same thing with Gordon. I don't think Gordon's playing either. He did travel with the team, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But it's a big game for them, so maybe they get him out there. Who knows?
Yeah. There's a lot of guys who I think are done for the season. I think Wentz is done for the year. I think Deshaun Jackson's done for the year. I think LaShawn McCoy's done for the year.
Watkins is done for the year.
And for McCoy and Deshaun Jackson, I think those are the last games those guys ever play for those teams.
Yeah, but if that's the case, with McCoy especially, I'm not even talking about Jackson, but with McCoy, why the hell wouldn't they have traded him at the deadline to a team that needed him and could use him?
It makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely none. They should. If you could have got a fourth or you could have got a fourth for LaShawn McCoy. All right. Say you get a fourth or a fifth. Great. Take it. What do you care? I mean, maybe they're hoping he leaves in, I don't know. They get a compensatory pick or something better. Who knows?
Yeah, those compensatory picks, they're just kind of out there. You never know what's going to happen with them. I don't know. Okay, anybody in the chat room got any last questions? I'll throw it out to you guys now. Any other players that you guys want to talk about real quick? Because, I mean, we're at the hour mark. But if there's somebody else we want to talk about real quick, we can jump them in.
What do you guys think in a real Hail Mary play here for either DFS or season long with Elijah McGuire taking over the reins for the Jets, and he's going to get all of the touches against a tough Houston defense?
Except he didn't practice again.
Yeah, well,
I mean, but it is only.
I've been down this road with Elijah McGuire before, where all of a sudden he was supposed to get the work, and somehow, precariously, he doesn't. It's a tough defense. I'm not going anywhere near that McGuire situation. I'd feel more comfortable probably with Keith Richards.
Now he's not drinking. Did you guys see
he gave up drinking?
Yeah, that was a big story today.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Why did he give up drinking?
Yeah, that was the thing that was keeping him alive.
He's a loser. I want you guys to do this. Anybody who's listening, watching, whatever, you've got to go hit your Google machine and Google the picture of Axl Rose from today. He looks like he's transitioning. He looks like Kathy Bates. And it's not even a question. Like, it's so ridiculous how he looks like a 60-year-old woman right now. And he's wearing a necklace in the photo. Just Google the photo. Put in Axl Rose. You'll see it. It's awkward, to say the least.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I saw a picture of him a few years ago when he had so much weight on him. He looked like hell. But I haven't seen him lately, so I'll have to go look at that. We do have a couple last-minute questions in the chat. John wants
he does look like Boy George.
John wants to know in the chat room, super deep league, half-point PPR, pick 2, Zach Center, Conley, Gallup, or Foster. And I'm going to jump right in.
Conley's my guy.
Yeah, Conley and Foster would be my picks. Foster's been quietly playing very well lately. Getting double-digit points in 3 of the last 4, maybe 4 out of the last 5, something like that. He's definitely become highly involved with Josh Allen. So Conley and Foster would be the guys I would go. Really have no faith in Zenner, and definitely have no Gallup right now, not really getting it done. So I think those are the 2 guys that give you at least some upside. You agree, Brian? Disagree?
I'm too busy finding this Axl Rose photo and tweeting it to you guys right now.
Okay. Well, that's what I would do. I think Conley and Foster are the ways to go, John. Black Austin wants to know Jeff Wilson or Gus the Bus. I'm going to go with Wilson again, unless Breida plays. If Breida plays, then both of these guys are going to be tough. I'd probably go Gus. Wouldn't love it, but if Breida is out again, then I would go Jeff Wilson over those 2. How about you?
I totally agree. I don't think Breida's going to play either. I think he's going to be one of those guys lost for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Wilson's great. You got a guy starting in a Kyle Shanahan offense. He's going to get a ton of looks.
He only caught 1 damn pass last week. I was so into him last week. I was talking him up like crazy. Did a good job on the ground. That's great, but he only caught 1 damn pass. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's a conspiracy. Damn it. And Mendo Bruce wants to know Robert Foster over Marquise Goodwin. Absolutely.
Yes.
Foster over Goodwin. Goodwin just looks like he's lost out there. I don't think he's bringing.
Robert Foster got 8 targets last week for 104 yards.
Playing good, no doubt about it. He's scoring. He's getting targets. He's putting up
90 yards in 3 straight,
and he's doing it quietly. Nobody's still talking about him, but he's doing it every week over the last month. So I like him. Okay, guys, I think that's it for us. Good luck, week 15. If you're still listening, please give us a thumbs up. Give us a comment if you're on iTunes. We'd appreciate it. 5 stars would be great. We definitely need to build that up, hopefully to build up momentum going into next year. But we definitely appreciate all of you that have been here listening to us for this long and are still here. So good luck this week. If you're in your playoffs, go give them hell, win some games for us. And Brian, tell everybody where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at Drake Fantasy. I am posting awkward photos of Mickey Rourke and Axl Rose as we speak. So yeah, check me out there. And over at fightingchancefantasy.com is where we try to do some work.
What Tony's doing behind you in the background. His hands are flying all over the place.
He's gonna knock down my sweet Christmas tree here.
Get ready for the Bruce Lee comeback.
He's dead.
Oh yeah.
Okay, folks. have a good week 15. Go out there and kick some ass. And we will see you guys next week. Getting close to that Christmas time. And hopefully you'll have a nice trophy or a nice paycheck to go with that Christmas time bonus for winning your league. So we will talk to you guys next week. Everybody, have a good week. We're out.